I am Wyndell Campbell, and I am joined today with Coach Jake Jenkins, third-year head coach of the Oskaloosa Indians. Jake, thanks for taking a little time to sit down with us as we get ready for the 2018 season. We're getting geared up for the Old Shoe game this Friday night as the Oskaloosa Indians look to take the field. Jake, third season on the sideline. You're no stranger to the sideline, growing up with your dad coaching for a lot of years, and now your third season. Talk a little bit about finishing last year, 2 straight years to the playoffs. Last year, kind of last man in, but hey,
yeah,
doesn't matter how you got to the dance, you got there.
Better late than never.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. So, talk a little bit about last year and the experience of going up against a team like Cedar Rapids Xavier, a team that won the 3A championship, and now as you get prepared for 2018.
Well, last couple of years, people, they ask how the season went, and we said, well, last couple of years we made the playoffs, and unfortunately we lost in the playoffs, but we did lose to the future state champ, so in 16 to Pella, and then 17 last year to Cedar Rapids Xavier. It was good to see a caliber team like Cedar Rapids Xavier, and it was good to play someone different. Because in 16 we had played Pella, and then all of a sudden we get a draw. We play in first round, and it was thinking, well, we want to try some some new teams, see what else the state has to offer, especially those tough teams. So we were excited at the draw to go up in Cedar Rapids and play them. And it was a weird game. It was like almost a blizzard when we showed up, but we competed fairly well in the first half, and then we got they had some manpower. It kind of got away from us in the third and the fourth. But it's good to see those teams. But we want to, obviously we need a better seed. So we need to have a better regular season schedule. We're happy to get in, of course, but we'd like to finish, a little bit better in regular season, to have a little bit better draw, so we can get to that caliber of team.
And I talked to some of the writers too with the state, and that Cedar Rapids team from this last year. I think I had a lot of people say they would have made a run in the 4A, in the 4A bracket as well. Yeah. So again, and last year, and let's talk a little bit about that. So there are some changes this year with the district, some new teams, maybe not some new teams, but some teams we're not used to playing year in and year out. But also the 17-point differential is thrown out the window. Now this RPI rating is big. Mm-hmm. The state has said if you want in the playoffs, win your district. Don't leave it to chance. So win and you're in is the mentality.
It is.
But talk a little bit about some of the district teams that we're going to see this year, and where you think you're going to stack up in the district.
Okay. Well, for starters, the 17-point differential being gone, I think, is a great thing. Mm-hmm. That was always in the back of our heads, and then sometimes you don't feel comfortable unless you're up by a certain amount of points, which is much more than 17. As you're subbing and you're getting young guys experience, and so I'm really glad they did away with that. Now you can go more with your gut feeling. Do we have control of this game or not, and can we get guys in who deserve to play and who need reps? Mm-hmm. And so I'm really glad that that's gone to start off. The RPA system, I think, is going to be a good system, and really it makes sure that every single game that you play matters, district or non-district, and so that's why our schedule is so tough, because we got to play and beat good teams, and so that's why you're going to see PC on there, and Washington and Norwalk for the non-district, and then in our district play, like you were talking about, there's some really tough competition there too. Absolutely. So the top 3 that you would see, most people would say, and then when I've heard and seen, would definitely have to be Pella, Oskaloosa, and Newton, just from what we've seen. Now, anything can always happen. Grinnell traditionally is a powerhouse that's been tough. Then you also have South Tama, and then you have Knoxville. And so all of those teams are kind of like old rivals, you know what I mean?
Some of those old conference foes back in the old conference days.
Exactly. So really excited for this new schedule. It's tough, but you know what? We want it to be tough. We want to play good quality opponents and then get those wins to help our RPI rating, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, and so let's talk a little bit about the talent that you've had here in your first couple of years, and now into your third year. You've got some kids playing some college football across the state, which is a wonderful byproduct of the program that is here. But you've got some seniors stepping in. I know Cole Henry, they spoke at our Rotary group here a couple days ago. Cole Henry and Casey Hill were a couple of your seniors that you brought with you. Talk about the senior leadership and what these guys have experienced in the last couple of years, and what we're hoping to, how it plays out here for this year.
We had pictures last night. We did team pictures, and I was looking through, there's a senior pick, and I went through the line for every single senior, and I thought, oh my God, he's going to play, he's going to play, he's going to play, and I went through every single one of them, and to myself, I said, every one of them is going to play. They might not start, but every single one of our seniors that is still out throughout all of the years that is here, right, they're going to play this year. So you're going to look at a lot of seniors on the field. A lot of them have been biding their time, patiently waiting, and all of a sudden now it's their turn. So they are chomping at the bit, and I'm so excited for some of them to get to play, because some of them were playing behind some really quality guys, that we had starting, last year or wherever it was. And it happens every year. They wait and they wait. And, like Jaden Van Roekel played behind Bennett Spry. You know what I mean? And it's like, Jaden's a great player. He was an all-state player, but he had to wait literally till his senior year to play and start. And then he did, and he was an all-state player. Now he's at Wartburg. You know what I mean? So a lot of those guys have been waiting. And so I'm just really excited to see them. It's their chance. It's their time. So they're going to lead, and then we're going to have other guys step up from the other classes.
Another big hole to fill, and I'm going to steal this from Doug DeCock, but Nate Big Biscuits Van Veldhuizen, a guy on the line, another kid that's getting some college playing time as well at Iowa Western. We've certainly had some talent here in the last couple of years, and no doubt. Let's talk a little. So on the offensive side of the ball, Cole Henry will be under center. We were talking, we'll have the kicking duties for the first game against Bella Christian. So talk some more about some of your offensive leaders and who we can expect to see behind Cole here this year.
You bet. So Cole's been battling out with Cole, and then we even have Reed Brown, a sophomore, and so those three have kind of been battling out. Cole has definitely risen to the top. He's been waiting too. He was a dang near starter last year at the quarterback position, but played wide receiver. So he's played a lot. He's poised. He's ready. He's a phenomenal basketball player as well, and he's a really good football player. So in fact, I don't know whether he's better basketball or football player. He excels at so many different things. So excited to have him. Your tailback right now, Casey is kind of just taking it and run with it right now. So Casey's he's really stepped up in a big way. He's in very good shape, best shape of his life. He looks great. On the line, a lot of guys that haven't played before, but Tucker Irwin's a returning starter, and he's looking good. Hunter Else is working really hard, and he's looking at center right now. We have Alex Labrick, you have Riley Miller, you have Colton Butler. So you have a lot of guys that have had significant playing time, but haven't had the nod, so to speak, to start, especially at that position. I really like what we got going on up front with the Hogs, and that's a term that they give themselves. So, Coach,
not calling them something, right? So.
They love that. That's like a badge of honor. Then skill position wise, you got to look at Tyler Miller. He's one of the quickest kids on the field every single week. Dylan Van Leuven, big physical kid on the outside. He's a vertical threat with Ike Schultz, and so. There's some athletes out there running around, and there's a whole bunch of other guys that are around, pushing for a spot too. So it's an exciting time.
And as we look at it too, some of these names you're going through on the basketball court and then also on the baseball field.
Yes.
And then I think that's one thing that Oskaloosa has really done a great job of. We don't have athletes that are specialized in just one thing.
Correct.
These are kids that, like you said, have worked their tail off over the summertime. You're going to see them in multiple sports. You're going to see them getting after. I think there was an article last year talking with some of the major college football coaches, and where they're looking for athletes who can adapt to different situations.
Oh, absolutely.
And we most certainly have some of those kids. Well, let's flip to the other side of the ball. And again, Casey Hill, you mentioned him on the offensive side of the ball. When we had talked the other day, he was talking also defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
In 3A, to have a two-way starter or a guy that's playing both sides of the ball, to get that many reps, it's a tough proposition. But Casey's one of those kids that you think can fit into that role.
He is. He's taking it on both sides right now. And we're gonna have other guys that are pushing him, and also want to give him a breather here and there, and guys that'll push for a spot. But right now he's a two-way guy. He's in phenomenal shape, and I hope he can handle it. I think he will. He will play both sides of the ball. So. We'll see what happens from there. Another guy on offense I didn't mention was Dykstra. Nick Dykstra has phenomenal hands. Maybe the best hands on the team. Don't tell him I said that, but he probably does. He's up there. He has great hands. He's an extremely smart kid, and he's on both sides of the ball too. So you're going to see him catching the ball on offense and then on defensive end. You're also going to see guys in the interior. Kenny Satimi is a big boy, big strong kid, and he's in the interior there. Tyson Brooklander, big kid in the interior. Keegan Mitz Butler is another big name. So we have guys. We have some beef on both sides, and then Riley Miller's another one up front. You mentioned Casey Hill, linebackers, other linebackers. Cole Craver's name. He's got a motor. That kid sticks out every practice. He is 100% effort guy. He gets after it. Cole's been doing a great job for us with Casey there. Then we have Walker Newman stepping up in a big way. He's a big guy doing middle linebacker, great instincts. Doing an excellent job. The secondary is completely new. So myself as a secondary coach, first you're scared, losing that. Then you start to see guys step into roles, and like I said, they've been waiting. They've been chomping at the bit. So a lot of them have taken those roles and run with them with both Snakenbergs, Cade at corner. Then we have Coy at free safety right now. We have a brave battle going on, which is like our strong safety between Tyler Miller and Zion Mamoon. And then we also have, at the other corner, we have Wyatt Creer. And so, I mean, a lot of skill guys, but it's not like they don't have any reps, and it's not like they're not ready. They're ready. They've been waiting. So, a lot of excitement.
And you've had great success with a lot of those two-way starters. You know, Bennett Spry, you mentioned him earlier, is a kid that I know, and he's playing some college football now. But Casey Hill, Tyler Miller, another one. You've been able to harness that energy in those kids that have been able to maximize both sides of the ball.
You bet.
Not a bad history to start having, or at least being able to form those kids into that.
Correct. Yeah.
So we get started this week with Old Shoe Game.
Yes.
Friday night. Freshmen are going to scrimmage in the JV. You want to talk a little bit about what's going to happen this Friday night? Sure.
And so we're planning on, I talked to Coach Parker, and so we're going to try to streamline it a little bit. So we would like to start that freshman and then the mix with the JV players that are going against a lot of sophomores. A lot of young guys will be in that starting 6 o'clock. And so 6 o'clock to 6:45, you're going to see a lot of reps from those younger guys in the freshman group and sophomores. And then from there, at 6:45, we're going to warm up. And so then by 7:30, it's going to be varsity going at it. And so plan on about 10 play series. We're going to start offense. Coach Dowd is going to take his offense. We're going to try to go primary O, is what we call it, and then we're going to fill in with our black shirts, which will be some starters and then some twos and whatever we have. And so they get 10 plays, we get 10 plays. They get 10 plays, we get 10 plays. So we're looking at 40 plays back and forth like that. And even if they score, they keep going. They got their 10 plays. And if we have an interception or if we have a big stop, we're going to keep having those stops. So we really want to build that consistency and camaraderie with our first group, or who we think the first group is. We learn a lot. We're plugging guys in. We're not quite sure who's there yet, and sometimes they're sharing positions. So we're going to learn a lot, and then we'll do a little kicking competition at the end with Aaron Blom and Mr. Henry.
Now, he was a kid I want to make sure, because we hadn't mentioned his name yet. And I had the pleasure to sit down with the coach of Eddyville, Bladesburg, at Fremont yesterday, and they've got a young kicker coming up who's a sophomore. Last year, his long was a 38-yard field goal.
Yep.
My question to him was, what's in the water that we're growing some of these younger kicking talents here? But it is certainly something that, from an offensive side of the ball, traditionally in high school, field goals aren't that big of a part of a game, but when you have a leg like Aaron,
they are.
Anytime you can get points, I think any coach would tell you, take the points, take the points,
Absolutely.
take the points. So a kid like Aaron doing the kicking, anytime you can get away with 3 points, it's points on the board.
Absolutely, and with the way that they're set up, in Iowa high school right now, even if you get into the end zone, it's that touchback. Mm-hmm. And so that's something a lot of people don't think. People ask me all the time, how far are you willing to go out? And I'm thinking, I'm willing to go really far, because a 60-yarder I've seen Aaron make before. I'd try a 60-yarder if the conditions were right, depending on the wind and the weather and everything like that. And even if he doesn't get it, it's still going to help us field position wise. If you're going to punt it, goes out the end zone anyway, or anything can happen with that. So we're willing to give him a lot of chances and put some pressure on him, but he knows at the end of the day, I just want him to kick it the best he can, and if he makes it or not, we're going to be happy.
Yeah, yeah. And Lacey Complex, not an easy place to kick, especially if you're kicking north.
That's right.
I've been to a few pin games out there where some negative punts have gone.
Oh, for sure.
So not an easy place to kick, but if you get a good north wind and maybe kick into the south end zone, it would be a good scenario for that. So Old Shoe Game this Friday night, starting at 6.
We said 6 o'clock for the young guys, and look for us at 7:30.
Okay, so a sports drink will get you in.
Absolutely.
Any of your old gear or shoes, the Rec Foundation here, Mahaska County Rec Foundation, will be collecting those and handing those out to those that need it for the youth sports and things like that. Any last notes for the season? We did get into districts a little bit. We've got Pella again this year. There's people that would say just pencil them into the championship game, if not the Final Four.
Good team.
Newton, who has traditionally played a 4A schedule, now in 3A, we got them in our district as well. In the pre-district games, you've got Pella Christian and Fairfield, correct? So, and you said
Washington
the other day,
and Norwalk too. The list goes on.
So whoever did your schedule didn't do you any favors, but with the way that they're looking at that RPI, it's not just who you play, it's who you played and who they played and who they played and who they played.
It's correct. Kind of it's a lot.
Guilty by association in some of those things. So
there's a lot that goes into it, and I will say we. It's tough to schedule it, so Coach Parker and I did the best that we could, and we like it. It's tough, and so we want a tough schedule. It's going to help our RPI. There was an announcement, Mr. Parker and I just talked, for the first game at Pella Christian. Instead of a 7:30 kickoff, it's going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff, because there is no curtain raiser. There's no freshman game.
No freshman game there.
So we're going to have a 7 o'clock kickoff at Pella Christian. We're going to try to get the word out about that too. Okay. So this will help out with that.
Has Oskaloosa played Pella Christian?
To my knowledge, no. We
So
have
this will be
played
the
them in
first.
JV.
Okay.
But I'd look
They're
through
not
the
a
record
varsity
books,
contest.
and I do not believe so.
Okay, so you know, a lot of history here with Jerry Staten and his history at Oskaloosa. He helped start that football program over at Pella Christian. Coach Kakmarinsky and those guys have been playing some good football.
Oh, yeah,
so
they're good.
not an easy task, even though there is a little difference between classifications. But you know,
It's a tough game. They were 11-1 last year. They lost in the semifinals. You think of 11-1 team. I watch them on film. They'll have just as many guys out for football as we do, and they're going to be coached very well. It's a great matchup. I hope we have a lot of people show up and support.
Yep.
Oski's going to do a whiteout, so we're going to show up.
Right.
We want to show them that Oski's coming to town. So we're excited about that. It's going to be a great game.
It's going to be a good one here coming up in a couple weeks. So, Coach Jake Jenkins with the Oskaloosa Indians, in year 3, getting ready to kick off. My name is Wyndell Campbell. I'm with Oskaloosa News. This is the weekly football update as we preview the 2018 season. Jake, I appreciate your time and taking some time with us. Maybe we get toward the middle of the season if we need to update. We're certainly going to update every week with what's going on game-wise, but if you can keep us updated on what's happening with the team, we'll bring it back. So you're watching the weekly football update here on Oski News.